was 7 years old when it started. Every night, the same dream, the same pull, something calling me upward. My parents said I was sleepwalking, just sleepwalking. That's what they kept telling themselves. That's what they needed to believe. But sleepwalkers don't remember. And I remember. I remember waking up in the attic. The dark attic. The one with the narrow staircase and the door that creaks. The one my parents said was too dangerous for me to go near. Yet somehow, night after night, I found myself there. And there were objects. Things that weren't there before. Strange things. Arranged in patterns I didn't understand. Objects I'd never seen in daylight. My parents dismissed it. Children's imagination, they said. You're confused, they said. You're dreaming, they said. But then came the night I woke up there, fully awake, in the pitch black. And I heard it. Footsteps, not mine, something else, moving in the darkness. Breathing, waiting. Tell me, how does a 7-year-old child sleepwalk through a locked bedroom door, navigate steep, narrow stairs in complete darkness, find their way through a cluttered attic, to the same spot, every single time? Sleepwalkers wander. They stumble. They have no destination. But I always knew exactly where I was going. Or perhaps something knew where to take me. I was 14, maybe 15, when I found it. The attic. You know how attics are. Dust floating through shafts of light. Boxes stacked in forgotten corners. The smell of old wood and secrets. But this box was different. Hidden behind a stack of Christmas decorations. Black. Completely black. No labels. No markings. Just waiting. Inside. Papers. Handwritten. The ink so old it had turned brown at the edges. The entries started normal enough. Measurements. Dimensions. Someone had been obsessed with the attic's layout. But then, the numbers stopped making sense. 23 feet from east to west. But it should be 28. 5 feet missing. Where did they go? The handwriting changed. Page after page. Calculations, diagrams, arrows pointing to the north wall. The space is there, behind the wall. I can feel it. And then, the scratching. I hear it at night. Something in the walls. Scratching, always scratching. From the space that shouldn't exist. I showed my father. We didn't talk about it much. We just looked at each other. And we knew. That wall had to come down. Crowbars, hammers. The drywall gave way easily. Too easily. And there it was. 5 feet of empty space. Hidden for how long? But it wasn't empty. Not really. The walls, covered, every inch. Markings, symbols, not writing. Not anything I recognized. Carved deep into the wood. Desperate, frantic. My father and I. We stood there, staring, not speaking. And then I remembered the papers, the dates on those entries. The last entry was dated 3 weeks after we moved into the house. After my grandfather sealed that wall. After he finished the attic. The person who wrote those entries described measurements that could only be taken after the wall was built. Described hearing scratching from a space they couldn't have known existed. How do you document something from behind a wall that hasn't been opened in 30 years? Unless they were never on this side of the wall at all. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear it, scratching. Some houses, remember, they hold on to secrets, tragedies, things that refuse to stay buried. I thought I knew my family home. 3 generations had lived between these walls. I thought inheriting it would be simple. I was wrong. It started with the window, the attic window. You know that feeling when you're being watched? That prickling sensation at the back of your neck. I'd get that every night, standing in my driveway, keys in hand, staring up at that dark square of glass. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Shadows, tricks of the streetlight, the mind playing games in the dark. But then, I saw it move. Not a shadow, not a reflection. Movement, something deliberate behind that glass. I hadn't been up to the attic in months, maybe longer. There was no reason to, just old furniture and family junk collecting dust. But that night, with my heart hammering against my ribs, I knew I had to look. The attic stairs are narrow, steep, they creak with every step, announcing your arrival to whatever waits above. I stood at the base of those stairs for a full minute, just listening. Silence. The kind of silence that feels too heavy, too aware. When I finally climbed, each footfall echoed like thunder in the darkness. The smell hit me first. Chemical, acrid, like paint, but wrong somehow. Rotten. I flicked the light switch. What I saw, I still see it when I close my eyes. Everything was painted black. Not painted, smeared, like something had dragged wet, dripping hands across every surface. The walls, the floor, the exposed beams, all of it, black. And the paint was still wet. It glistened under the bare bulb. Droplets fell, slowly, one by one, drip, drip, drip. But the paint, that wasn't the worst part. The scratches were, deep gouges, carved into the wooden beams, long, parallel, like something with claws had dragged itself across the wood, or someone. I reached out, touched one of the marks. My finger traced the groove. 4 inches deep. What kind of force? What kind of desperation? Does that? That's when I heard it, from directly above me. Thump. I froze. The attic is the highest point in the house. There's nothing above it. Just the roof. Just empty space. Thump, thump. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, then dragging. Something being pulled across the floor above me. Slow, labored. Scrap, scrappy. I stumbled backward. My foot caught on something. I went down hard, paint soaking through my jeans. Cold, so cold. The sound stopped. The silence that followed was somehow worse. I tore through that house, every room, every closet, every shadow. Nothing. The doors were locked, the windows sealed. I was alone. I had to be alone. I called the police, told them, what? That my attic had been vandalized, that I heard sounds from a space that shouldn't exist. They came, searched, found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints in the paint, no footprints, no explanation. The officer looked at me with that expression. You know the one. Pity mixed with suspicion. Old houses make sounds, he said. Settle at night, play tricks. But his eyes, they kept darting to the ceiling. He heard it too. I haven't slept in 3 days. The sounds continue. Every night, always from the attic, always the same pattern. Thump, thump, scrap. I've tried to leave, packed my bags twice. But where do you go when the thing haunting you is in the house you inherited? The house that's been in your family for generations. What if it's not the house that's haunted? What if it's the bloodline? I went through old family photos yesterday, looking for, I don't know, answers, clues. I found something. Great-grandfather, standing in front of this very house. 1947, behind him, in the attic window, a shadow, the same one I see. Tonight I'm going back up those stairs. I need to know what's making those sounds, what painted those walls, what carved those marks. I need to see what's been watching me from that window. If you're listening to this, and I don't post again, check the attic windows of old family homes. See if something's watching back. Some inheritances come with conditions, some debts passed down through generations, and some houses never let you leave.